So a few weeks ago, I went down a rabbit hole of monitor shopping. Specifications, terminology, sales speech, all types of things. It was so overwhelming, I actually made another video about everything to think about when you buy a new monitor right here. But today, I want to talk to you about the one that I ended up buying. And that was the LG UltraFine 27UP850K.
My name is Timothy Reese, and I've worked in the television, film, and photography world as a director of photography and a photographer for nearly 20 years. Check out my videos as we cover not only the how, but also the why of various technical and creative techniques used in the creation of real images.
The LG27UP850K is very similar to the LG27UP650K. The main differences we'll discover after we open up the box, but for the most part the panels are the same with just a little bit of a price difference between the two of them. This is a 27-inch 4K HD display with an HDR 400, meaning it can get up to 400 nits of brightness. It has a PPI of 163, which is important for having good, crisp, clear text. It also has 95% of the DCI P3 color accuracy, which for this model is hardware calibrated at the factory. It is an IPS panel with a 60 Hz refresh rate and a 5 milliseconds response time. This model has HDMI, DisplayPort, and USB-C, something that the other model does not have. In addition to the USB-C, it also provides a 90-watt power delivery for your computer if you're using a laptop. So let's open her up. Shouldn't be too much to unpack here. We've got what looks like our monitor bracket. Big old power supply here. You know, it's actually not as chunky as I would have thought. You know, it's long, but it's not that wide. Comes with a DisplayPort cable, USB-C cable, power cable for the power supply, and an HDMI cable. Manuals, registrations, all that stuff. Oh, this looks like a cable keeper. Speaking of which, this should be the center post for our monitor. Very nice, very nice. Okay, and here is our display. This is nice. This is our display. It's actually fairly lightweight, pretty thin for everything that we get with this model. Let's go ahead and assemble it really quick. It's a toolless screw on the bottom, which is really nice. So we should be able to go right into there. And with a thumb screw, we can screw that right on. This has got an up and down adjustment, and I believe it also has a tilt adjustment. So looking at the monitor, the way this works is you got your 4 screws for your EIZO 100 mount, but this system here will actually snap right into the display for you. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna lift it up at a 45-degree angle, slide it into place, and then the monitor is gonna click in to the mount just like that. And there you go. Pretty much are built. So the monitor has a vertical up and down adjustment, as well as pretty decent tilt. One of the differences between the 650 and the 850K monitor is that the 850 is hardware calibrated at the factory for good color accuracy across the whole screen, whereas the 650 you might have to do the calibrations yourself after you buy the monitor. The other big thing to note is the connectivity of the 850 is significantly improved over the 650. So you'll see here, not only do you have 2 HDMIs and a DisplayPort, you also have a USB-C option, which can provide video, power to your laptop, and data connections, as there's 2 USB 3 ports on the back of the monitor as well. You also get a headphone jack and the power plug, which is standard with the 650 as well. The other thing that this model has that the 650 doesn't is internal speakers. It has been connected via USB-C, so I am getting power in addition to a video signal, which is great. Okay, so this is not a scientific measurement whatsoever. However, I set up these monitors mirroring each other with the nit brightness of about the same value for each monitor, and the results are pretty darn nice. Now, the LG has a claimed contrast ratio of only 1200 to 1, compared to the laptop's 1,000,000 to 1. But I would say the differences are negligible, at least in this demo video. One thing I'd like to note is we can look at our off-axis viewing with the laptop. That's at about 45 degrees off from the camera. And this is about 45 degrees off from the camera. So our viewing angles are really nice. Look at that. That's one of the benefits of an IPS panel over a VA panel. Overall, strictly speaking, I'm quite pleased with the visual results, at least in the color accuracy and the contrast. Let's look at a couple other things to see how it stacks up. This is a monitor test pattern from a website called EIZO. So we're going to go through this really quick and we're going to look at what we find. Our first test is looking for banding in the color patterns right in here. And as you can see on the LG and the MacBook Pro, I don't see any apparent banding. There's also tons of detail in these sharp lines, meaning the resolution is really nice. Now, it doesn't look to me like there's any issues with our pixels on this monitor, just some styrofoam from the packing material. So what you're looking for here is banding, which we may or may not be getting due to the compression algorithms of YouTube. Once this video gets compressed, so take all these tests with a grain of salt. Now this is the text test. Now this was really important to me because in addition to doing video work, I also write, and I wanted to make sure that the text was going to be clear. So this is 12-point font, going all the way down to 10-point font. And just from the sheer size of this monitor, the 10-point is bigger. But the font is clear. And I believe I'm running this 4K monitor currently at a QHD resolution. It's kind of splitting the middle so that the writing is not super small. Here's our writing again, if we were to run the monitor at full 4K. And the text looks good. It looks nice and sharp. I don't even know if you can even see that on the camera. Let's stop down a little bit. It's so tiny you can't even see it on the screen. Here, we'll make the font a little bit bigger. So text clarity is fantastic. I'm very happy with that. And now response time is a little funky and honestly is not that critical for me. I'm sure the Mac is going to have a faster response time, so we won't even bother with that. While it doesn't compare to a $5,000 Apple display, for a little over 250 bucks, I'm excited to add this to my workstation. So when I was looking for a monitor, the two most important things were resolution and color accuracy. I think this monitor did a really good job at providing that. I went down the rabbit hole. I looked at flat, I looked at curved, I looked at 32-inch, I looked at 34-inch. I almost went with a curve, and then when I put the timeline for DaVinci Resolve on the curved monitor and the timeline started doing this because of the distortion, I thought to myself, that's just not going to work for me. I'm never going to get over that. Now, if I was a gamer, I would look into a curved screen. A 34-inch curved screen for a gamer at a high refresh rate would be great, but that's not what I needed. So when you're shopping for a monitor, it's really important that you isolate the key factors that are important the most to you. You know, unless you have $5,000 for a top-end monitor that checks all the boxes, usually we're going to have to find compromises. So understanding what all these different things mean is a really important factor when you're shopping for a monitor. And for that reason, I would say check out my video right here.
Over the last few months of using this monitor, I've been experiencing some sudden USB-C disconnection and reconnection issues while using the monitor. I've tried everything online, reading about using a different cable, having the computer fully charged, and what it seems to be is a result of how the MacBook Pro is utilizing the power delivery protocol. However, nothing I do, including replacing the power supply of the monitor, has truly fixed this issue. After checking firmware updates and all my cables, the only real solution that I can see if I want to use USB-C as a connection is to also keep my computer plugged into its charger. If you have been experiencing issues like this with an LG monitor or other monitors that provide power delivery to your MacBook Pro, and you have found a solution, please leave it in the comments section below.
If you like videos like this, or videos about cameras, or video equipment, or filmmaking techniques, please subscribe. and feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.